How about Coimbatore? Good. Yes. Okay. So we are just waiting for about 1 minute and then we'll start. So Paul sir, how is the scenario in Coimbatore? Good now. Okay. So good morning everyone and welcome to today's edition of the SMS. So as you all know, the Saturday morning sessions, they are filled with a lot of insight, a lot of brainstorming is happening and we are taking away a lot of things. I would also like to share that a lot of things that we are exchanging here, that becomes a subject of our notes, and maybe we are referring to them when we are arguing the matter in the courts or in different forums, whether it's appellate authority or judicial authority also. So we thank all the speakers for giving the valuable time and also thank all the participants for giving the valuable time and joining here. So I'll quickly Milo, you have to just stop the Milo, you have to stop the sharing for just 1 minute. I'll just share something. Yeah. One. Yes. So I would quickly like to share. Yes. So I would like to share the brief profile of CA B.S. Myler. So he's qualified in the year 2009. He's a fellow member of our institute, and he has over 13 years. I think more than that, 13 years of professional experience in the field of indirect taxation now. So he's a regular faculty of for the certification course on GST conducted by the ICAI. He has written various professional journals. Apart from all this, he's got a very good feedback from all the faculties across Bangalore. So many of the faculties have been recommending his name. And so that's why I tried to get in touch with him and sought his time for today's session. He has kindly consented to share his insights and thoughts on section 22, which is one of the critical sections of GST because it's a process where the registration starts. So, Manerji, over to you for the session.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. And also, I thank all the group members for sharing their knowledge. Every time it will be very glad that so many members sharing so many queries and everybody is answering. It's not that one or two. Majority of them answering the queries, and we will get a lot of other views. So we will normally sticking to one particular view, but when we post a query in the group, we will come to know that there are so many angles to it. So it will be very easy for any person to see all the angle and uh, start arguing or other things. So let me share my screen. Yeah, thank you. So my screen is visible, right?
Yes, my love.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. In respect of the registration, the first section that we have to refer is section 22. Let's read together section 22. Then we will see what are the issues and particular rulings in respect of this section. Section 22(1) says every supplier shall be liable to register under this act in the state or union territory or other than the special category states from where he makes a taxable supply of goods and services or both. So what is important is from where he makes the taxable supply of goods and services or both. If his aggregate turnover in a financial year exceeds 20 lakh rupees. Till 20 lakh rupees, there is no mandate for him to register. Once the 20 lakh is crossed, it is mandatorily supposed to register. Provided that where such person makes a taxable supply of goods or services or both from any of the special category state, he shall be liable to register if his aggregate turnover in the financial year exceeds 10 lakh rupees. In respect of this special category state, we'll see what are the special category states. If the person is dealing or he has any branches in that particular special category state, then the aggregate turnover will be of 10 lakh rupees. Then provided further that the government may, at the request of a special category state or on the recommendation of the council, enhance the aggregate turnover referred to in first proviso from 10 lakh rupees to amount not exceeding 20 lakh rupees. So if the any of the specified category states and majority of have done, now we have only 4 special category states having 10 lakh rupees aggregate turnover limit. Apart from that, majority of them opted this and they have shifted to 20 lakh rupees. Here, one more important thing is aggregate turnover in a financial year exceeding 20 lakh rupees. Then what is important is aggregate turnover will not, this is the definition, but by and large it covers all this category of things. So one, taxable supply, both inter and interstate state supplies. Then it does not include inward supplies, but what we are talking of is only turnover. So it includes only outward supply. So inward supply, even though it is liable for RCM, we should not be considered for the purpose of calculating aggregate turnover. Then we have a plus outward supply of RCM, plus exempt supplies, plus export of goods, plus any other taxes or levies. If you refer section 15, the value of supply includes any other taxes or levies. So if any other taxes or thing is collected along with the sale, then that has to be added. Then what we need to, what we should not include is tax itself. That is CGST, SGST, UTGST and cess, even including IGST should not be considered for the purpose of calculating aggregate supply. Then supply on behalf of the principal. We know Schedule 1 transaction where if the agent undertakes supply of goods on behalf of the principal, then such supply has to be added in the hands of agent. Then again, if the, as per the provision, if the goods are directly removed from the supplied from the premises of a registered job worker, then such supply should be added only to the aggregate turnover of the principal and not for a job worker. Even though it is removed from this job work premises, but it is removed by a principal, so it should be added to the aggregate turnover of a principal. Now, important 3 things. What is included is non-GST supply. Any non-GST supply, sale of liquor, alcoholic, alcohol, or petroleum and petroleum products, all should be included for the purpose of calculating aggregate turnover. Next, Schedule 1 item should be included and Schedule 3 item should not be included. Anything which is covered in Schedule 3, sale of land and other things should not be included, subject to para 5 of Schedule 2. All these things should be included and only Schedule 3 items should be excluded to identify what is the aggregate turnover. So because we have set non-GST supply to be added, because that aggregate section 6 aggregate turnover, aggregate supply definition does not include non-GST supply, but it includes exempt supply, and as per the definition of exempt supply, even nil-rated, exempt and non-GST supply is getting included. So indirectly, non-GST supply should be added to identify what is the aggregate supply of goods and services. Yeah. Now, we will next move on to explanation 3 to section 22. The special category states, as given in Article 279A, Class 4 and Clause G, state that Jammu and Kashmir, state of Arunachal Pradesh, Mizoram, Nagaland, Sikkim, Tripura, Himachal Pradesh, Uttarakhand, Manipur. So these are the special category state as per the constitution. But the explanation 3 to section 22 excludes some of these states from a special category states. Those are Jammu and Kashmir, state of Arunachal Pradesh, Assam, Himachal Pradesh, Meghalaya, Sikkim, and Uttarakhand. Thereby, these states should not be considered as special category states, and the turnover limit in these states will become 20 lakhs and not 10 lakhs. So total 11 special category states we have. Out of that, 7 has been excluded from a special category with this explanation. and we have left with Manipur, Mizoram, Nagaland, and Tripura. So I have given in the down what are the total special category states and which are them are excluded as per this explanation. So we'll end up owning 4 states for the purpose of turnover limit having 10 lakh rupees. Okay. Apart from this, we have a notification number 10/2019 CT dated 7/3/2019, where the turnover limit in respect of exclusively inclusive the dealer who are exclusively engaged in supply of goods. If they are exclusively engaged in supply of goods, then the turnover limit has been increased from 20 lakh rupees to 40 lakh rupees. And it is come with the 4 conditions. One, not required to make compulsory, not required to take a compulsory registration as per 24, meaning thereby the person should not be engaged in interstate supply of goods. If the person is engaged in the interstate supply of goods, even though his turnover is less than 40 lakh, he will not be eligible to take this benefit of 40 or not even 20, because exemption is available only for services. Even though my interstate supply of services is there, then I can enjoy the threshold of 20 lakh rupees. But in case of the goods, it is not available. So if I do any interstate supply of goods, then immediately I should take a registration. 20 lakh, 40 lakh, both limits are not available. Then if you are engaged in specified product like tobacco and manufactured tobacco substitute ice cream or edible ice cream, whether containing coke or not, pan masala. If I am dealing in this, then this 40 lakh limit is not applicable. And this 40 lakh limit is not opted by all the states, and there is a specific exclusion. Arunachal Pradesh, Manipur, Meghalaya, Mizoram, Nagaland, Puducherry, Sikkim, Telangana, Tripura, and Uttarakhand. So all these states have not opted for this 40 lakhs. Because of this, some state that specified 4 states will have a 10 lakh limit and other states will have a 20 lakh limit, even though they are exclusively supplying goods. And now taken voluntary registration is obvious. In spite of this, if they are taken voluntary registration, then this 40 lakhs limit is not. Okay. To summarize this, 10 lakh rupees, whether sale of goods or sale of service, supply of goods or supply of service or both, then only for these 4 states, Tripura, Nagaland, Mizoram, Manipur, we have 10 lakhs limit and 20 lakh limit for supply of service and supply of goods or both, that is Arunachal Pradesh, Sikkim, Telangana, Uttarakhand, Meghalaya, Puducherry. And exclusively if they are into supply of goods, then they have a 40 lakh limit. That is all other states they have a. So like Tamil Nadu, Maharashtra, Karnataka, all other states will get covered here. So they will have a 40 lakh limit. Then we'll take some questions. The turnover, first question, turnover as aggregate turnover is 20 lakh rupees, which includes 18 lakh as supply of service and 3 lakhs as a interest income in Karnataka. So whether registration is required? Any view?
Registration is required, sir.
Okay. So this interest income will not be excluded from the aggregate turnover for the purpose of registration?
I think there is an explanation, Myla, for this.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
Whether it will be included or not, ma'am, as per the explanation?
It is included. No? That is what they have stated in that. Specifically, they have stated that in case, even though they are engaged in that exempt supply, and if it is provided by way of deposit or interest on deposit or loan, then even that will become part of this. That is what I remember.
Correct.
Yeah.
So in the first question, turnover limit, because there is supply of service, the aggregate turnover is only 20 lakh rupees. And for this, even this 3 lakhs should be added. So 18 plus 3 it will be 20. So registration is required. We cannot exclude this interest income This exclusion is applicable only in case of a Section 10 composite supply composition scheme. If you're opting for that scheme, then they are given a specific explanation to exclude interest income, but in respect of Section 22, they are not given that explanation.
So registration is required.
Registration is required. We'll take second question. Turnover at 21 lakhs, which includes 18 lakhs as a sale of goods and 3 lakhs as a interest income in Karnataka, whether registration required or not. Karnataka, we discussed the 40 lakhs limit if you are exclusively into supply of goods.
Same answer holds good.
Registration required?
Yeah.
Okay. So there are two things here compared to first example where we said it is supply of service. In this case, we are supply of goods and it is in the state of Karnataka, because Karnataka, the registration limit is 40 lakh. And we have an explanation. We'll discuss that. Based on that, the registration is not required. Okay. Now we'll take last example in this.
The second one you are saying the interest income is the supply of service.
Yes, sir. Interest income is deemed to be supply of goods.
We have explanation in 22.
Yes. I'll come to that. Okay. Then we'll take the last question. The total turnover is 43 lakhs, which includes 38 lakhs sale of goods and 5 lakh rupees as a interest income. Whether registration is required or not required. Any answers?
Registration is required, sir. Registration is required.
Okay.
Because
So thank you.
aggregate includes the exempt income also.
Okay, thank you, sir. So here, second question number 2 and question number 3. The what important thing is the how this interest income has to be treated. We'll just take read the explanation and we'll compare with the composition scheme how it will be different. See, there is a proviso and there is a explanation to Section 22. The government may, at the request of the state on the recommendation of council, enhance the aggregate turnover from 20 lakh rupees to such amount not exceeding 40 lakh rupees in case of a supplier who is engaged exclusively in the supply of goods. Okay. So first question is they should be engaged exclusively in supply of goods, and we know interest income is a supply of service. So what happened if they provided this exclusion? So none of them able to enjoy this exclusion, because even 10 rupees, 15 rupees interest, 100% everybody will get from their bank account. So then this entire benefit would have been get wasted. So they added an explanation. So this explanation is very important. For the purpose of this subsection, a person shall be considered to be engaged exclusively in supply of goods, even if he is engaged in exempt supply of service provided by way of extending deposit, loans and advances insofar as the consideration is represented by way of interest or discount. So what they have done, even if the person has engaged in supply of exempt supply by way of extending deposits and other thing, and consideration is in the form of interest or discount, then that supply will be deemed to be a consideration received for engaging in supply of exclusively in supply of goods. So they are not excluding this interest income from the aggregate turnover. They are just deeming that whatever the interest income they get, that as a supply exclusively in the supply of goods. Thereby, in the previous example, as Sir rightly told, the aggregate turnover will be 43 lakhs. This 5 lakhs should not be excluded, but this should be deemed to be supply of goods. And the aggregate turnover will be 43 and they have to take a registration. And in respect of second example, what we discussed, it is 21 lakhs because it is well within 40 lakh limit. So registration is not required. This is 18 lakhs supply of goods and 3 lakhs interest income. So in aggregate 21. So still it is within the aggregate limit. So registration is not required for a second example. Third example, registration is required. So I'll just pause for a while. Any
Third
questions?
Third query, registration is required or not, Madam?
Sorry, sir.
Sir, the third question, registration is required or not?
Required, sir. You're right. 100% is required. Any other questions, sir? Shall we continue?
For the third question,
Sir.
you have told that interest income would be treated as a supply of goods. From the explanation, I think it is not supply of goods. What they have said that even if it is an interest income they have, then
Correct.
the person should be treated as a supply, exclusively
Correct.
supply of goods.
Correct.
But
I
the
agree.
interest income is not supply of goods.
Yeah. But I mean to say it should be included for aggregate supply because the proviso has an exclusive condition of having only exclusive dealing in exclusively in supply of goods. And explanation means that even if they are supplying exempt supply of service, then it would be regarded as exclusively dealing in supply of goods. You're right, sir.
The important point is for the purpose of calculating that 40 lakhs, which is exclusively for the supply of goods.
Correct.
Whether that interest income would be treated as a supply of goods.
No, he would be treated as supply of goods.
He will be co-person. He will be dealing exclusively in supply of goods.
Yeah, person would be treated as a exclusively engaged in supply of goods.
Correct. It's a co-person.
That person would be treated.
Correct.
Right. And
Yes.
what is the supply of goods is to be restricted only to the supply of goods and not to the interest income.
Correct. But interest income is nowhere the excluding from aggregate turnover. So meaning thereby, even interest income should be added to the aggregate turnover. Sorry, if I'm wrong, you are saying that it should be excluded, right? For interest income.
Yeah. In my view, the interest should not be treated as a part of the turnover or supply of goods.
Why do you say so, sir?
That person would still be treated as a engaged in exclusively supply of goods, even if
Agreed.
he has interest income. So
Agreed.
we have to restrict the what is the turnover of the supply of goods.
No,
And interest is not the turnover.
No, I think the exemption is for the turnover. So exemption is for the aggregate turnover.
Yes.
So while computing the aggregate turnover, you would include everything. You would still regard him as a person dealing in supply of goods, isn't that way?
100%. I'll agree with
But sir, here only the class has been considered to be enhanced. A person having goods as well as services, exempt services, that has to be treated in that same category of person as supplying of goods, but does not specify that the addition has to be made.
Sir, see, addition has to be made, decision has to be need not be specified here. See, we have a definition of aggregate turnover. Do you agree that in the aggregate turnover, this interest income has to be included? Do you agree, sir? In the aggregate turnover, it has to be included?
Yes.
Okay. Once it is included in the aggregate turnover, then we'll come to the proviso. The proviso has a limit of 40 lakh rupees. They are not touched anything regarding aggregate turnover. They are not tinkered with any of the provision of the aggregate turnover. So we have aggregate turnover as it is. Okay. And here this first this proviso applies only to the person who is exclusively in the supply of goods. That's all. And in the explanation, this says, if I am the person who is exclusively in the supply of goods, if I have some exempted income, so the explanation says I am not debarred. In spite of that, I have some exempt supply of services. I should not be get debarred. Then it just says I am exclusively dealing supply of goods, even though I have some exempted service. So here, nowhere the explanation, nowhere the proviso is tinkering in the aggregate turnover definition. Nowhere there is a adjustment to aggregate turnover definition. If you can open section 10, there they have clearly categorically said this exempt supply of service by way of providing extending deposit and loans and consideration in the form of interest and discount should not be included for the purpose of aggregate turnover. So that is the distinction I wanted to bring here, because section 10 for that 1 crore 50 lakhs, there they categorically said, even for a 2A 50 lakhs, they categorically said this interest income should not be added. But for the 22, that is the difference which I am highlighting.
Okay, okay.
Sir, I think then this explanation is only to determine whether a person can choose a composition scheme, right? Only that explanation is only for determining, because the explanation says treat it as exclusive supply of goods. Do
Correct.
not include for this. I think this is for determining whether a person is eligible to take up registration under a composition scheme. This
Not
has nothing to do with
composition.
determining the aggregate
No,
turnover per se.
no, correct. That is correct. But the only thing is not composition scheme, 40 lakh limit.
Sir, hello.
Yes, sir.
If we go back to the notification which was issued for extending the limit for 40 lakh rupees, can you just go back?
Yeah. This one? You want to open the
Venuji, if I can be allowed to share the screen.
Yeah. 1 second, I'll share that notification.
Yes, if you can share the notification.
Is it visible?
No.
No, right? 1 second.
Arpitji, you can also share. I can also share. Okay.
I'm sharing. Yeah. Can you see it?
Yes. Now the thing is that the proviso which is there for extending the limit, it is under section 22.
Correct.
But the notification has been issued under section 23 subsection 2.
Okay.
So once this notification has been issued under section 23 subsection 2, that means the government has not exercised the power under section 22. They have exercised the power under section 23 subsection 2. And now since the amendment has been made in 23 subsection 2 that it overrides 24. Therefore, the first condition which is there in the notification gets defeated.
No, sir. Correct. But this notification is subject to this A. So you cannot omit the class A. Because even though section 23 override 24, but in the notification, they are exclusively saying that this A, to the extent of this, they don't want to give that exemption. So we have to read all together. So according to me, it should not be omitted.
The first thing which I was trying to highlight is that the proviso which is being referred for 22. It is not applicable on this notification. Therefore, the explanation which is there is also not applicable to this notification.
Oh, okay. You are referring to like that. Okay.
Yes, because had that been, whether it is an error or what, but the things which stand as on date is that it has been issued under 23.2. It has not been issued under 22. Therefore, the explanation which they have referred, technically speaking, that explanation is also not applicable for considering this 40 lakh rupees, because For that explanation to be applicable, it should have been issued under 22. And then the second thing is that now since the section itself is overriding 24, can a notification issued under 23 have the effect of overriding the provision of the section itself?
Sir, here I mean to say, see, 27 is not overriding. See, and in the notification which is issued under a 23, it is curtailed and given to some extent.
No, sir, with the 23 to which has been amended now. Because when this notification was issued, 23.2 was not reworded as it has been reworded now. Now 23 says, notwithstanding anything contrary to contained in 22.1 or 24, the government may on recommendation. So now 23.2 notification is overriding 24. So therefore, can a notification which has been issued under 23.2 override the section itself under which it has been issued?
Sir, I remember that is GST Council minutes. It says that a notification should be issued under section 22, but they are not issued that, sir.
Yes,
Because
yes.
So came frequently in the minutes they mentioned a notification should have been issued under 22, because this 22 provisions came, that amendment came later, but that notification under 23 was issued earlier, sir. So that is the confusion, sir.
No, yeah, that is the confusion. But the thing is that the things which stand as on date is that still the notification is in 23.2. Therefore, the explanation which is there in 22 would not be applicable on this notification. And secondly, 23.2 now overrides 22.1 and 24. Therefore, a notification which has been issued in the section in the section, can that notification override the provision of the section itself, where it says that where it says that a person required to take compulsory registration 24, this notification will not be applicable. So this is the only thing which I wanted to highlight in the entire discussion.
And on the same stand only, sir, we are taking that stand that those who have RCM liability and requiring compulsory registration under 24(3), we are saying if he doesn't have any taxable supply, he need not take registration because he is exempt under 23.
No, ma'am, that again is different, because the exemption from registration on account of exempt supply, it is not coming from 23.2, it is coming from 23.1. And only 23 notifications are overriding on 24. 23.1 is not overriding 24 as of now.
Oh, okay.
See, whole of 23 overrides 24.
No. Venuji, only 23.2 overrides 24. Initially, the amendment which was proposed in the finance bill, entire 23 was overriding 24. But now
Correct.
the amendment which has been made, now only 23.2 is overriding 24. 23.1A and 1B are not overriding 24.
Yeah, agreed after the amendment, correct. Yeah.
Arpit sir, one more doubt I have with this. See, actually, 22, 23, 24, if we read together, 23 is applicable where he is not required to take a registration.
Yes.
So, I still believe that even if it is issued under 23.2, because it is not overriding completely, it is overriding only to the extent of which is contrary contained in 22 and 24. So, can we read that 23 subsection 2, which has been amended and which says that notwithstanding anything contrary content, and they have notified certain person who are not liable for registration. So, in this case, if their turnover is up to 40 lakhs, can they not look that they are not required to take a registration, and based on that, they have referred 23 to that? Can we read that way also, sir? This one, because I am reading 23 as a principal and this 22 and 24 as a 23 as a holding and 22 and 24 as a subsidiary of 23. So just I'm trying to read that aspect also. Can we read that, sir? Because they cannot give under 22. 22 is only giving a explanation on what turnover they are liable to take a registration.
No, ma'am. 22 they can give, because if we go through the proviso which is there in 22.
Yes.
Which is which has extended, provided also that the government may, at the request of a state on recommendation council, enhance the aggregate turnover from 20 lakh to 40 lakh in case of supply of the engaged in exclusive supply of goods, subject to such condition and limitation as will be notified.
Yeah.
So the power to notify is there in 22(1) proviso.
Yeah, that is
So-
for 22 to, yeah, I agree with that. But what I'm trying to say is, even if they would have brought through 23.2, can we still not say that it is a valid notification, sir?
No,
I'm
no,
just trying
it is a
to,
valid notification, but then
Huh.
the explanation which is there
Hmm.
in 22(1) proviso, which
Hmm.
we were discussing,
Highlighted.
that will not be applicable.
But sir, in 24, it says notwithstanding anything contained in 22 only. They are not saying notwithstanding anything contained in 22 and 23.
No, ma'am, that is
No,
now
they
well
cannot.
documented that 23(2) amendment was brought just to override the provisions of 24. And initially, if we go through the GST Council meeting agenda, they proposed the amendment for overriding the entire 23 overriding 24. But then they said that it is not the intent to override entire that 23 should be overriding 24. Therefore, they restricted to 23(2) only. And why they have mentioned notwithstanding anything contrary? Because the example which ma'am said that exempted and RCM liability. Now, exempted is person dealing exempted supply is exempted from registration by 23(1). But at the same time, he might be liable for registration under RCM. So this is one thing which was contrary in 23 and 24. 23 was exempting, but 24 was making it mandatory for registration. Now, for these issues, they have not opted for 23 overriding 24. They have restricted for 23 2 notification overriding 24, just like the job worker notification, wherein they have extended the limit. So, only those areas which have been notified in 23 subsection 2, they would be overriding 24, even if 24 is contrary to the notification.
And one more aspect in this notification is, they say any person who is engaged in exclusive supply of goods and whose aggregate turnover in financial year does not exceed 40 lakhs. So I think the example which Mailar was taking, which includes interest, I think this is giving an answer to that, sir.
No,
Because
no.
it is
Yes,
saying
now if we strictly go by the notification, the example which was there of interest in supply of goods. Now 18 lakh is supply of goods and 3 lakh is interest. So if the notification would have been issued under 22(1) proviso, that explanation would have been applicable, and thereby there would have been there would have been no requirement for registration, considering the limit is 40 lakh rupees. But now, since the notification has been issued in the 23(2) and there is no such explanation appended to this notification or the section 23(2) section itself, now this interest income would be treated as supply of service, and the limit of 40 lakh would not be applicable based on the notification and how the wording and how the structure of 22-23 has been brought in place.
Excellent, sir.
Okay.
I agree with you.
Sir, only Arpit sir, only one
Yes.
point I like to discuss with you. Only small point.
Yes.
See, the date when they like to extend the benefit of the 40 lakhs, they can't make the amendment in the section. Therefore, they've used the power of the 23(2) ka notification.
Hmm.
Now, when the subsequent act amendment came in the picture, can't we say that they have used the amendment of the section, and then to that extent, the relevancy of this notification would not be applicable?
No, that condition of extending 20 to 40 lakh is subject to such conditions and restriction as will be notified, and that the state notification, the name of the state which has opted should have been there in the notification. So if we say that when the 23(2) was brought in, 22(1) proviso was not there, then whenever it was brought in, they could have inserted by way of 23(2) read with 22(1) proviso.
In
Just
this
like
notification,
Huh?
the notification in which they have issued that, so you mean to say that it should be 23(2) as well as 22 subsection 1.
If they wanted to have both the sections, or they could have amended 23(2) and put in 22(1) proviso directly.
Fine. Thank you. Clear.
Thank you, Arpit. It was very insightful. See, as Arpit sir was saying, for the purpose of this section, this explanation cannot be drawn to any other place except for this subsection. Because 22(1), this explanation is only included for this subsection 1. Even though if I go to High Court and other place and we argue based on the equity and the intent, we may succeed. But technically, if we go with a strict interpretation, what Harpreet sir is saying, I totally agree with. I'll stand corrected to that extent. See, for the purpose, this explanation is only limiting to this section, and it is not extending to section 23. And as the notification was rightly brought out, it is issued under section 23. Because of this, our examples require reconsideration. First one, there is no impact. Second example, as Harpreet sir clarified, it as registration is required because the turnover is 21 lakh rupees, which includes 18 lakhs on sale of goods and 3 lakhs interest income.
The screen.
Visible, sir?
Oh, you have to change the screen from notification to presentation.
Oh, 1 second. Yeah. So the second example which you have taken here, the total turnover is 21 lakhs. It includes 18 lakhs as the sale of goods and 3 as interest income, and the person is not exclusively into supply of goods. So this notification is not applicable, and also the explanation to section 22(1) is also has no use. So in case of second example, registration is required, and also in case of third example, the registration is required.
There is no change in the answer, right?
There is a change in the answer in respect of 2, sir, after the discussion. In the second question, we had utilized the explanation to 22(1).
Oh,
See,
okay.
we have borrowed the notification from 23 and used the explanation from 22(1), which are both are not interlinked. So it are both are different. So now if you read, now we have to take exclusively the benefit of notification. The notification says exclusively for goods, then only 40 lakhs, because 22 plus 3 is the interest income is also included. So that benefit is not.
Then same logic will apply for 3 also, nothing?
3, any 40 is also crossed, 20 is also crossed now. 2 and 3 registration is required as per the, see, 3 anyhow we said registration required, it is because it's 40 was crossed. Now after this discussion, we have said that even 2 registration required, 3 also registration required. Even 1 also required. So for all 3 cases, registration is required. So literally there is no benefit in from the notification.
Now, how to use that notification, though it is issued under 23(2), in which scenario that will be relevant actually?
So even if you don't have exclusive means exclusive, even you should not have 1 rupee interest income, then you can use that notification and get the benefit. But at any point of time, if you have 1 rupee of services, whether exempt or taxable, then that exclusively the sale of goods will not get triggered. So you cannot use that benefit of that notification. I clarified, madam.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, and again we have subsection 234 where it is clearly says if it is registered under old act, we need to register. I'll not take all these things.
Sorry, Mailar, I just want to add one more doubt. You had mentioned earlier that the turnover of an agent, also as an agent, whatever turnover you did, that also included in the turnover.
After, no, even though he is doing a business on behalf of a principal, that turnover should be added to the aggregate supply of agent because of the Schedule 1.
And what about if it is an aggregator? Then all the turnover is included as that of an aggregator, or how is it? Is it clarified anywhere?
No, aggregator means, madam, e-commerce.
Aggregator is a
e-commerce.
Yeah, as in the case of e-commerce operator.
No, there it is the simple madam, that supplier is a person who is selling the goods. Aggregator is not a Not he should not get included. Only the supplier who does the supply, only for them it has to be included.
Okay.
Only in case of 9.5, we need to include those supplies, because the 9.5 says all the provision of this act should be applicable as if he is the supplier of service. So only in case of 9.5 it will be added, but there is no meaning, because anyhow 24 will take care. Once that is the case, it's compulsory.
No, but Mylar is aggregator. If aggregator is providing other services like listing services, advertising services, catalog services, shooting services, for that they'll have a turnover, no?
Sorry, your voice was breaking, sir. Can you just repeat? Sorry.
So I'm saying if the aggregator is having other services like listing services, advertising, they do all these photo shoots for the different vendors.
Correct.
So in that case, they'll be having independent turnover.
Yeah, that is independent turnover.
Yeah, so in that case, they have to get registered.
Yes, 100%.
Mylar,
sir.
I'm Paul Tangam. Yeah. See, shall I read one thing from the agenda of 31st GST Council agenda? So there they say in the agenda itself, the notification number 10/2019, central tax dated 7th March 2019 shall be rescinded with effect from the amended provision comes into effect. That is amended provision in 22. Further, a notification would be issued under third provision to subsection 1 of section 22 to notify the limitation and conditions contained in the notification 10/2019. So this is as per this notification, they should have withdrawn, but they have not done. So that is the thing I wanted to highlight. That's all.
Yeah, thank you, sir. Thanks a lot. It was a very good insight. So as per the minutes, they are aware of this lacuna and all these issues they are aware. And also GST Council has recommended, but still the government has proactively not rescinded that circular. New circular has not been given. So even the government is also know the issues. Yeah, thank you, sir. Thank you. Okay, in case of demerger and other things, the resulting company should take a registration. I'll not take much of that. Then we'll take some issues and then we'll discuss those issues. Okay.
In case of demerger, mandatory the resulting company to take the registration, or
Yes,
they can
sir.
still apply for look for 22 and wait for it.
No, sir. Once you are registered in the old act, this act compulsory registration. Once the merger or demerger happens, the resulting company cannot wait for 20 lakhs. Immediately they need to take it.
No, because the parent company registration continues. Why
Correct.
should the resulting company do the registration?
So it is the mandatory under the section to take a registration. Once you take the registration and if there is no turnover after 1 year, then you can surrender it. But as
No, there is a turnover but less. Can they still not go under 23 and fit themselves?
The problem is the resulting company does not have a past data to substantiate less than 20 lakhs. Because the original company had a turnover and the resulting company, what happens, we don't know. So Act says as soon as it is demerged, immediately has to take a registration. After 1 year, if the turnover is less than 20, then they can go for a surrender. But as soon as the demerger happens, registration is compulsory.
And in case of merger, anything emanating from here?
The same provision will apply, no, sir. In case of merger also, the resulting company should take, if it is absorption, anyhow, they will have existing registration. In case of...
no, in case of merger, two entities are getting together.
No, getting together and forming a new company, or one of the companies absorbing another company.
Is taking, correct.
So if the existing company is absorbing another company, the existing company will already have a registration, then this requirement will not arise. If the two company getting merged and the third entity is getting formed, that is the resulting company has to take registration.
Okay.
Then in respect of works contract, where we have a lot of issues, and in respect of a rental income or a works contract, we have a lot of issues, whether the place where we are providing the services, whether we need to take a registration. First, we will take a question of a rental. Then we will come to the works contract. So first, in case of a rental, take an example where I'm located in Karnataka and I have taken a registration in Karnataka. I have a commercial building in Tamil Nadu. The first question that comes whether I can issue an invoice from Karnataka to Tamil Nadu, IGST invoice, because the place of supply is where the building is located, that is Tamil Nadu. So I need to issue an IGST invoice from here to Tamil Nadu. That is clear. The second question that arises whether I need to take a registration in Tamil Nadu and then issue a CGST SGST invoice, or I can directly issue IGST invoice from Karnataka was the discussion. For that, we'll just take a definition of fixed establishment and a place of supply. Place of supply is the place from where business is ordinarily carried out and includes the warehouse, godown, or any other place where the taxable person stores his goods, supplies or receives goods or services or both. Then place where the taxable person maintains his books of account, place where the taxable person is engaged in the business through the agent by whatever name called. That is place of business. Then fixed establishment. Fixed establishment means a place other than the registered place of business, which is characterized by sufficient degree of permanency and suitable structure in terms of human and technical resources to supply service or to receive and use services for his own needs. So it becomes to see any building which is there, the entire building I have let out to another person, and there I'll normally will not take any services, and normally I will not provide from that place. I will not provide any services. So based on that, see any rental invoices which is done from Karnataka to Tamil Nadu, it's fine. According to me, there is no requirement of having a registration in Tamil Nadu. That is the point number one. Now, point number two, in respect of executing works contract. I'm in the same, I'll take same example. I have registered in Karnataka. I got one order to build some commercial civil structure in Tamil Nadu. Now the question comes whether I need to go to Tamil Nadu and take a registration, or I can do this construction from Karnataka itself. There are many advanced rulings are contrary to one another, but what is that important is, as we seen the definition of fixed establishment, one is there should be sufficient degree of permanence and suitable structure in terms of human and technical resources to supply and to receive inward supplies. So there should be permanent. So there cannot be a straight answer for each cases. I cannot say that I can bill from Karnataka. It has to be depends upon each cases where the site of execution is limited to performing a services, then the registration is not required. To perform this contract, if I open a site office with little bit permanency in taking, say if it is more than 2 years, 3 years, and if there is a permanency in certain degree of permanency in with a suitable structure in terms of human and technical resources, and in that site office I deploy technical persons, and if I consume some services there, then if that creates a fixed establishment, that site office, if that creates the fixed establishment, then there is a requirement of registration in Tamil Nadu. Otherwise, there is no requirement to have any registration. If it is a small 1 month, 2 months small projects which can be sufficiently handled from Karnataka, then there will not be any requirement to take a registration in Karnataka.
Mailar,
Sir.
let's say you have an apartment coming in Hosur, and the contractor in Electronic City, Karnataka has got a job to build swimming pool. Okay, swimming pool or clubhouse. Now Now he do not have a registration in the state of Tamil Nadu.
Okay.
Now he has to, let's say he is to build a clubhouse. So it's a works contract. The entire material would be coming directly to the site and he would be executing the work on the site.
Okay. It was right?
Now, which means he do not have a fixed establishment in that state.
Correct.
So this work definitely will take an year, building clubhouse and other activities, year to two.
Okay.
What do you feel about his registration requirement in the state of Tamil Nadu?
No, same thing, sir. If they don't have any site office, there is no permanency, and every engineer is visiting from Karnataka to Hosur and visiting and come back, and also you're doing build to ship to, the materials will directly go to the execution site. Then there is no establishment which is getting created in Tamil Nadu. There is no requirement at all. So I can do a IGS billing from Karnataka. There is no requirement of registration in Tamil Nadu.
Yeah, I also have the same view, and just the contrary issues that may come up is the e-way bill. If someone intercepts and says that, okay, you're moving to an unregistered site, I think still we feel we have a chance we can fight the case.
Yes. Only thing, the bill to ship to, it should be proper. When any items that I purchase,
Yeah.
the should bill to me in Karnataka and ship to the Tamil Nadu location.
Yeah, that I agree.
Any other view or any other points to add?
The only point that why, say, for example, I do agree that there is a advanced ruling. Apart from this advanced ruling, there is no favorable judgment. And my counter view would be, why can't we say that there is a fixed establishment? See, if I go to the definition of the fixed establishment, it says that human and technical support to provide the service. So I have the temporary shed over there, and I have the human and technical, let's say I have the machine, etc. So I fall into the definition of the fixed establishment properly.
No, you are only saying temporary, sir. See, you are only saying temporary, but the definition says sufficient degree of permanency should be there, whatever you establish.
The permanency could be for 6 months, for 1 year, like let's say.
But how will you get a registration when you don't even own the place, when you don't even rent the place?
See, obtaining the registration, I do agree that there would be the small challenge. See, for the time being, let's say there is a one problem, practical problem, wherein my officer will not get the registration. But the point is, do I fall in the section 22 ambit and I need to take registration?
No, why I am not getting registration is I don't own the premises. Even for 6 months also, I have not been given license to occupy. So I only given license to use. So given that I am not occupying, will I be qualified as a fixed establishment?
See, for example, I can obtain the NOC also. Let's say the landlord is saying that, okay, you take the NOC and make the temporary shed in that case. Assuming that my landlord is giving me the NOC so that I can create my temporary shed and render that particular work contract service for some period.
Okay.
In that case, I can easily get the registration. Not easily is not the correct word. I can get the registration based on the NOC also.
Sir, if you are only saying there is a permanency, if you are a site
No, but
officer.
Arunji, there is another counter thing, which is that if I give entirely in subcontract, I don't have any fixed establishment. So I've got a contract, I give the entire contract under subcontract to somebody there who is buying the entire goods and all, doing the service. So in that case, I don't have any fixed establishment at that. So whether I need to go ahead and do the registration, so that is again another big
subcontract. Okay, fine. That is the another lag of discussion. But let's say restricting myself that for the only for temporary period I'm going, and for which my landlord is giving, that particular building owner is giving me the NOC. Then because I do not have the document to take the registration, is that the reason that I'm not required to take registration?
No. See, once you say you have a permanency and you are taking other things, you have to take a registration, you can take. So we are only
Yes.
discussing, once you take the registration, there is no non-compliance. If yourself is saying there is a permanency little bit and you are saying that there is a fixed establishment is getting created, then you can take a registration.
I am saying
Comply with
that
laws.
only for some period I create temporary shed.
Then you can
Then won't
go with
it
the
come in the
cash.
fixed establishment definition? That is my only point which I like to have the views of our forum.
Okay, so
Okay.
it is, since it is 10, I'll just close with one view. Arunji, the practical problem that we are facing is when I'm going for this registration for 3 months or 6 months, the proper officer is asking for the work order. And the work order shows that it's only for 3 months or 4 months, whatever. Within 3 months, I have to complete, the deadline is there. So there itself is not allowing me to take the registration. He's saying up casual taxpayer ka registration.
Yes, yes.
Okay.
He's telling take a registration of CTP, but not this. So that is a practical problem. But Myler, I think it was really wonderful. But as we know, the timing is that we started at 9:01. Now it is 10:01. So
Yeah.
I would really thank you for the session. But I would request first Arpitji to share the vote of thanks and then Venu to share his words. Arpitji, over to you.
Thank you, Ruji. And as I always say that section 22, we all feel that we are all abreast with the provision and it is a basic provision. And now 8 years have gone by. What would be the discussion? But in the last 1 hour, we haven't been able to complete section 22. So as they say that whenever we discuss law, the nuances come and we all get enriched with the discussion. And thank you to the speaker of today's session, Mailarji, for taking section 22 and having an in-depth discussion with the case studies and various rulings and bringing out the points which ignite the discussion and make a better understanding of the provision, because literal reading of the section we all have done, but it's the finer point which need discussion and views from the house. And like in the last point we have discussed about the permanency of the place, and Arupji coming with the view of 3 months and more than 3 months and the casual taxable person. So it's all about learning in SMS, and thank you to the speaker for bringing out these issues in section 22. Thank you very much.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
And we will continue the session next week also. Mylar requests you to schedule yourself for next week also. This is what would happen.
Venu, next week you have Anil Ji. Next week you have Anil Vajwadar ji on the signal read. So we'll have this session after 26.
Okay.
Session next week.
Yeah, when lawyer is coming, we give a priority is that because unka time kabhi milta hai. Yeah, correct. I get that. Yes. Mylar, it's okay, right?
Yeah, okay, sir. Okay.
Yeah. So again, one more request to everyone, as usual. Other friends of yours in the faculty group, whenever you meet, ask them to be in the Saturday session. And I want everyone who is in the group take one session the Saturday. So that's the only request. And thank you, everyone. Good day.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thanks for validation. Thank you very much. Bye, sir.